How's it going, YouTube? Jamie the Kid 00 here, back with my first Cardfight Vanguard video on Cardfight Capital on Beyond. Sorry, I was just turning the music off there. I'm going to be playing a standard Gold Paladin Ezel build for this video, simply because I'm just playing this to kind of learn the system. It is really awkward to use. Like, you thought you Yu-Gi-Oh players thought Dueling Network was hard to use. You should really try using this. It's horrible. Either way, I'm going to be just doing this so that you guys can see a little bit about, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, how the game plays. I'm not really going to be talking too much about the mechanics, but and if you're Vanguard players, how I play as a person. This isn't really going to be the best display of my skills, seeing as I don't actually own this deck in real life. I'm currently building it, so this is literally the first time I've ever used it. So this should be fun. Either way, we've drawn our opening hand, and we're going to return the Garmor and the Lecurier back to the deck that we drew earlier, because of course you can mulligan in this game. Sadly, we draw back into a Lecurier and a Bowmains. Of course, the whole object was to try and get into a Bowmains and a Gareth. You can see there I'm keeping the vast command menu open off screen so that I can actually remember what to do. Either way, we're then going to roll off for first turn. I've already rolled the die. My opponent hadn't, so I had to prompt him. He rolls a 6, I rolled a 3, so he's obviously going to go first. And I should probably indicate to people, seeing as there are the same icons for both players, I am, of course, Jamie the Kid 00, and I'm going to be the field on the top. While the hand is always displayed on the bottom of the screen on Cardfight Capital, the challenger, the player who challenges a person to a game, will always be the bottom player, and the person who has been challenged will always be the top. So I was challenged in this, so I'm going to be the player on the top with my Lion Cub Criff. My opponent is going to flip up Winglebrave, which instantly shows me that he's probably playing a Blaster variant. More than likely it is an MLB build. So he's going to drop a Maron on board, moving his Winglebrave to the rearguard, and more than likely pass turn to me, seeing as he can't attack on the first turn. I'm just explaining to him, sorry if I slip up, because I only downloaded this today, and I do make a couple of errors which I immediately rectify. So he's going to activate the skill of Solitary Knight Gancelot in hand, which allows him to return it to his deck and search the deck for a Blaster Blade, which is going to add to his hand. I know most players on Card Capital don't actually put the cards in the guard zone where they can use their skills, but I actually found it quite nice because it really did indicate to me, obviously, what he was doing. So he's going to add the Blaster Blade to his hand. The one annoying thing about this system is the fact that I can't actually see my opponent's hand, as in how many cards there are. On Dueling Network, you can see the backs, but on this, you can't actually see your opponent's hand, so you need to keep track of how many cards they have in hand when they're using the skills. So he's going to activate a second Solitary Knight Gancelot from his hand, looking through his deck for another Blaster Blade. So at this point, it is really becoming obvious that he is actually playing an MLB build, because he's of course going to search the one Blaster to ride as his grade 2, and then going to search a second one to hopefully call out and make the MLB skill live. So he's going to add the Blaster to his hand, and add the Gancelot to his deck, and shuffle it about 8 times, as you can see in the command zone. Then he's going to end his turn. Also, for those of you who are kind of lost for what's going on, if at any point you're wondering what has been happening, feel free to pause the video and read the chat log on the right-hand side. This game has a helpful feature where it literally lists every single command that occurs in the chat log on the right-hand side, which I really quite like. If Dueling Network had this, it would be really helpful if it had a log. So I accidentally draw 2 cards because the system lags and there aren't any animations, so I'm not sure when something has actually received my click. So I double drew accidentally and returned the Halo Shield mark to the top of my deck. Sadly, I didn't shuffle, but it really doesn't affect the game state that much. So I'm going to ride my Slagle Dagger because it is the only grade 1 I drew into. It's not the ideal open, but oh well. And then I'm just going to bring Crimson Lion Cub into the rearguard behind my Vanguard, because upon reviewing my hand, I realised I really don't have any boosters, and I'd rather push for that extra 5k to try and get a guard out of my opponent's hand. So I'm going to swing directly with the Slagle and the Criff for 13, I believe, against his 8k. 12, sorry, against his 8k. So he's only going to need 5 to guard. So now we're just going to wait for his guard response, and he's going to say no guard. So I am going to trigger check and reveal that Halo Shield mark. And my opponent is going to reveal a Blaster Dark as damage. So that's quite helpful for me, because of course most MLB Royal decks don't play for Blaster Darks. I mean, some do, but for every Blaster Dark I can knock out, that adds inconsistency to his deck, because he really needs those Blaster Darks, and he has less ways to search the Blaster Darks. Wingle Brave is about the only way he has. So he he rides Blaster Blade from his hand, of course having... he doesn't have enough counterblast to use his skill. Then he accidentally calls Knight of the Future Lu when he meant to call something else, so he returned it to his hand and called Lake Maiden Lian from his hand. Of course, with the intention to use its skill to send one from his hand to draw one. Continuing his draw engine, so he's going to send an Alabaster Owl from his hand to the drop zone and draws a card. And calls a Little Sage Maron to boost his Blaster Blade, so he's going to be hitting me this turn, because there's no way I'm going to be guarding that for 15, which is what I believe I'd have to guard with. The one problem with this game is, again, like Dueling Network, there is no incentive to play fast, so there are going to be quite a few open spaces. I tried editing this earlier on, so you will see that there were a few edits at the start, but to be quite frank, Windows Movie Maker was messing up and I had work to do. So he's going to swing into my Blaster Blade, into my Slago Dagger with his Blaster Blade. I'm not going to guard. I'm going to take 1 damage in the form of my Blondezel. So he's going to end his turn. I'm going to stand all my units and draw to 7 in hand. So I draw into a Gwydion, which is not good. So drawing triggers is always fun. So again, I don't have a Gareth. I never draw into the Gareth, so I never get my Superior Ride off. So I'm just going to call out a Bowmains and add a bit of pressure by putting a Trip on board as well, so I can get 2 attacks in this turn. Now, I'm going to swing in with my Vanguard first, because I don't actually play stands in this deck, so there's no benefit of swinging with my rear guards first. At least this way, if my opponent perfect guards, I can assign all the boosts from my other triggers onto my other rear guard. So I'm going to swing for 15 and await for my opponent's response in case he guards, just give them a bit of thinking time. And again, because there are no animations on this, you can't shuffle your hand to check to see if there's any lag or anything like that. You really do just have to wait. It is literally like a posh Facebook chat tacked onto an image hoster. It does a job, but I really wish this was on par with Dueling Network. I never thought I'd see myself comparing things with Dueling Network as the better, but I wish this was on par with Dueling Network. So he declares no guard. I'm going to reveal a Charge Gull, and he's going to take damage in the form of a Margull. So he's going to get the draw, but his plus 5k is going to mean that I can't attack with Trip. So I'm going to end my turn there, because his Vanguard is too big for Trip to get over. So he draws to 6 in hand, even to my 6. He's going to call a Margull from his hand with the intention to put it straight into his soul. And he's obviously misgraded now because he doesn't have a grade 3. So he's going to move the Margull to his soul, add some power to his Vanguard, so it's on 12k. So he's going to be swinging with a 20k column now. And he's going to call a Knight of Friendship K from his hand and put it in front of his Wingle Brave. So that K is going to be swinging for 10k on its own. He's going to use the effect of Lian again to send Lion Mane Stallion from his hand to the drop zone and draw an extra card. And then he's going to swing for 20k with Blaster Blade and Maron, and I'm going to declare no guard because I don't want to guard that. And I take a Garmor as damage, so it's kind of helpful seeing as I already have the Ezel in hand, so I'm not that worried. And then he's going to swing in for 15. I'm just going to question that, making sure my math is correct before I declare any guard, because I do have that elixir in hand. So I'm going to use the I'm going to use the elixir as a guard to stop me taking a bit more damage. And that should be the end of his turn. With a bit of luck. Again, guys, with regards to this game, let me know what you think, and let me know what you want to see if I did more of these commentaries. I'm going to draw a card in the form of Gareth, so it's come a little bit late, so I'm just going to go straight into Ezel. But let me know what you've thought about this, because I find it quite hard to comment over this, because of how dull Cardfight Capital actually is and how little there is about it. the fact that there are no animations and it's very complicated to use. If you want me to do a tutorial on how you'd use it once I actually learn it myself, please let me know. Or if you'd just like to see me start using OCG decks that we don't actually have over here, showing you what they can be like, I can do that too. And to you Yu-Gi-Oh players who are still watching this, I am sorry, but I'm going to be continuing to do small Vanguard segments, so just feel free to tune it out. So I'm going to swing in with my Ezel and reveal a Silver Fang Witch and an Elixir Sommelier, getting the heal trigger, allowing me to heal 1 damage and pushing through, giving power to the trip on my rear guard. He's going to take an Alabaster Owl as damage, so he's going to give the power to his Vanguard. So I'm going to use the trip, instead of swinging for his Vanguard, to swing for his Knight of Friendship to stop it swinging for 10k. Because, to be fair, I don't want that swinging for 10k. So Trip's going to swing into his Knight of Friendship K. And he's not going to guard, so he's just going to take it straight off and send it to the drop zone. And then I'm going to swing with Trip and Gareth to his Vanguard. He'll need 10k to guard that. So will he guard or will he take to 4 damage? He's going to take to 4 damage, revealing a Flash Shield Ult, which is always good. More perfect guards out of his deck. So I'm going to end my turn there because I've swung with everything. I'm pretty happy with my progress on 1 damage to 4. It's been a bit of a grind seeing as I didn't get my Superior Ride off and I haven't used any of my Limit Break skills yet. But it's just handy to have that Ezel pushing for quite a lot of damage. It's obvious by his comment in the chat box now that he hasn't really drawn very well. He draws into, he's obviously drawn into that Gancelot. He's going to have to call Gancelot to, well, ride Gancelot for his grade 3, which is kind of bad because it's only 9k. He's going to bring out a Blaster Blade and then immediately declare skill, and then choose not to use his skill because he's going to try and power up the Gancelot instead. He's going to use effect of Lake Maiden Lian again, sending his Knight of the Future to the drop zone and drawing a card. And he's then going to use the skill of Gancelot. See, now at this point he boosts it up to 2 critical and 1400, and then declares, oh yeah, let's get the perfect guard out of your hand. He's seen me drawn the perfect guard earlier on in the game, and yet he still goes on to activate its skill a second time to put it up to 19k and 3 crit, counterblasting 4. So I'm not really sure why he would push that much into a perfect guard, put that much commitment into just drawing out a perfect guard when I would have just perfect guarded the double crit anyway, because it would have been dangerous enough. So he's going to swing in with Gancelot directly, and of course I'm going to Halo Shield Mark that. I'm not going to take 3 damage off of such a reckless play. So I'm going to Halo Shield Mark and send that dead draw trigger from my hand to the drop zone as the cost for it. So he's not going to be getting through with that, and he's going to reveal 2 normal cards, no triggers there, which is helpful for me. So he's then going to swing in with Wingle Brave and Blaster Blade. And I am going to block that because I don't want him searching off of his Wingle Brave. So I'm going to block with my Silver Fang Witch. It would have been nice to use the Silver Fang Witch. I then make a mistake. I moved the charge card to the drop zone because I thought that I had not discarded for the Halo Shield because it got lost in the text log, whereas in actuality I had discarded for the Halo Shield, so I do end up discarding 2 for the Halo Shield, and that was a bit of a misplay there. But to be fair, this client is really quite awkward to keep track of things on. So then the moment when I realised that I think I haven't discarded, I send that charge card back to the drop zone and actually guard a second time. And I say in the chat log right there that I realised I never discarded, in which in actuality I did discard, but oh well, it doesn't really affect the result of the game. So otherwise he's going to end his turn there after I blocked all of his attacks. So I'm going to stand up all my units, and this should be the turn where I go for the game shot. So I'm going to bring out the charge goal behind the Major Calamity Trip to create a 1500 column, just to push for 10k over the Gancelot, pushing more cards out of his hand. So I'm going to swing with the Ezel directly into his Vanguard for, I believe, 20k, because the Ezel is boosted by 5 because of the rear guards I have on board. He's not going to guard, so I'm going to reveal 2 triggers. Well, I'm going to reveal my trigger check in the form of a Flame of Victory, a critical trigger. which should push through for game. And I'm going to declare that the critical, of course, is going to go to the Vanguard, and the power is going to go to the Trip with Gareth behind it. Reveal a Halo shield mark, and he is going to take 2 damage without a heal trigger, which is going to be game point to me. Either way, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you'd like to see me do more videos on Beyond Cardfight Vanguard, please let me know, and I'll see you